Welcome, everyone, to TJ, the Grumpy Old Man, a twice-a-week sports podcast where I'm your host, TJ, and I'm always accompanied with the Grumpy Old Man. I'm always accompanied by, I'm always accompanied with the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grump, how are you doing this fine Thursday evening, Grump?
Splendid. How about yourself?
I don't know, Grumpy. I thought you said you're right. What are you getting? You're getting your workplace all set up over there, Grumpy, for yourself?
I had a little crumb over here, a little piece of dirt. So I picked it up and I flicked it somewhere else so I can clean it up later, move it out.
Oh, I hear you, man. I hear you, Grump. For those of you who are in the show, welcome. Again, we talk all things sports on this show. We talk NFL, college athletics, NBA, MLB, hockey, European football. We talk anything and everything sports on the show. So if you're new to the channel, we invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter, Grumpy Old Man. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
If I had Twitter, I'd be following us.
I know. Yeah, unfortunately, the Grumpy Old Man with his zero social media presence, per typical. But we're going live. Oh, we also go live every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Grump, what's the score of the game? We're going live during the Miami Dolphins and Cincinnati Bengals game on this Thursday evening.
I believe it was 7-6 was the last time I saw a score.
7-6. I tell you, Tua matching up against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the first time that those two have faced and squared off since LSU against Alabama. Back when LSU had that undefeated season.
I didn't think about that. About that.
And it's funny, right? It didn't get pushed too much per se, and it's got a lot to do with the fact that I think the Bengals are off to a slow start this season. I'd say the Miami Dolphins are exceeding at least my expectations of what I had for them going into this year, right? Undefeated to this point.
What can you tell me what the name of the team that Joe Burrow plays for? What's the name?
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Bengals. Okay.
What are you bitching about? Why do you keep saying that? Bengals.
Okay. I just wanted to double check. That's all.
What do you double check?
Usually call them the Bengals.
What do you mean? I call them the Bengals every time.
Okay. All right. My bad.
But yeah, I mean, like it's going to be a good matchup here tonight. I think that Cincinnati team has struggled out of the gate. They're coming off a little bit of the Super Bowl hangover. Without even winning the Super Bowl, but they've got that little bit of a hangover. Miami off to a quick start this season. This is another important game for them. It's an important game for Cincinnati too, right? Really tough to make the postseason and a 17 game regular season when you start off the season 1-3.
Yeah, they need to start winning some games. Miami has been, I don't know if I'd call them a pleasant surprise, but it seems like when you see it with other teams, like we were expecting the AFC West was just going to be dynamite this year. Has not been the case. And the Dolphins have been one of the teams that stepped up in their stead, without a doubt. Last undefeated team in the AFC.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wasn't expecting to be off the start they were. And I was expecting the AFC West to be the toughest division in all of football. When you look at it on paper, what did you think of Russell's play last Sunday?
Terrible.
Really? Sunday evening, you didn't think he played well?
No.
They had enough for the win, though, right?
They won 11-10. 11-10. Think about that. There's only been one other game 11-10. I don't remember when it was. They mentioned it. It's fairly recent, but throughout the history of 11-10 is not a highly popular finished score.
Because they had
the boxes. Let's say you had the boxes. You figure 1-0. Oh man, that's good. 21-10. I can make myself some money in these Super Bowl boxes. Nobody's counting on 11-10. Nobody. How many teams score 11 points? Not many.
I will tell you, it should be, for Denver fans, that should be growing concern. Absolutely growing concern that it looks like Russell again is a fraction of what he used to be. And when you're thinking about it, Jesus Christ. I mean, how quick he fell off playing. He went from a guy who was bona fide, no doubt about it, no doubt, no debate, top 10. He was at one point in time top 5, no question about it. And he kind of was like, okay, he's in the top 10, no doubt about it. And now you're like, oh, I can argue maybe as to why he's not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL now, right? 2 years in a row off to a slow start. He's got weapons in Denver, and given his wideouts dropped a lot of balls last Sunday evening, a lot of very catchable passes right in their hands, hits them off the helmet, just dropping. I mean, Jerry Jeudy drops that wide. I mean, Jerry Judy's been underwhelming since he's been drafted. Wouldn't you say that's a guy who's been a bust?
No, I wouldn't call him a bust. Okay, it's his second year in the league. So, I like to give guys a little bit of time. A little bit of time. Give him a little bit. He should be better this year for certain. I just don't think Russell Wilson's throwing the ball well.
How many balls need to hit him right in the freaking hands for him to play like shit? Have you looked at his stats, what they looked like, Grumpy? I don't think you have. The opening night against Seattle, 4 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. The Texans, 1 reception, 11 yards. The 49ers, 2 receptions, 17 yards. That does not scream, I'm a bona fide top 10 pick, does it? Doesn't to me.
Well, he's the number 2 wide receiver on that team. Cortland Sutton is number 1, bona fide number 1. But Wilson's having a hard time getting him the ball. They've just not played well. I mean, here's the thing. It's his first year in a new system. He's played in the same system his whole career. So it's going to be an adjustment for him. Not everybody is Tom Brady. So, you expect him to struggle a little bit. For me, I don't like his mechanics throwing.
Okay. Hold on. You keep saying this is second. This is his 3rd year in the league, Grumpy. Jerry Jeudy's been in the league. This is his 3rd year.
But he was hurt his first year. He's been banged up.
First year, he had 14 starts. Last year, he had 5 starts and played in 10 games. And this year, he started all 3 games.
All right. So last year, he was hurt. I knew he was hurt.
Last year, he played 10 of the 17 games.
Okay. But it's all conducive on quarterback play. I mean,
okay. He has, you would think, right? The ball he dropped on Sunday evening was just it was an egregious drop. Another one of those where it's like, Jesus Christ, you're a professional wide receiver. 15th overall pick. When you go ahead and draft a wide receiver 15th overall, that son of a bitch better be one of the best wideouts on the damn team. He better be one of the best wideouts in the game. You're drafting a wide receiver with a top 15 pick. Are you kidding me?
It just shows you.
You look underwhelming.
It just showed you how the game has changed. The game has changed. Wide receivers were never picked high. Now, with everything's throwing the ball, you're seeing running backs not even get picked in the first round. You're seeing them go into the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. Good value there. But wide receivers are going early. That's just the way the NFL is right now. You've seen the last number of years of proliferation of wide receivers going in the first round. I don't know how many went. I think it was 7 went in the first round this year, maybe even 8. That's a lot. That's a lot of wide receivers.
Well, it's because now all they want is huge money. I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. I've been underwhelmed with what I've seen from Jerry Jeudy. And here's the thing. He's not the only Alabama wide receiver as of recent where I'm like, I'm underwhelmed by what I've seen from him.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. Jameson Williams is hurt right now. I mean, so you can't count on him. Jalen Waddle's been doing really, really well for Miami this year.
Correct.
I mean, he was great last year too. I mean, I'm kind of baffled. I mean, Devontae Smith, he's been playing pretty well too for Philadelphia. And he's the number 2 guy there, right? AJ Brown's number 1. He was fantastic last week, though. People realize, no, we got to take care of AJ Brown. That means that Devontae Smith is getting a whole lot of traction. I mean, I wouldn't say their wide receiver group is a bust. All right, you're talking about Henry Ruggs, right? Henry Ruggs
before the off the field incident was never panning out on the field either. I mean, it's just like, when you talk about players, you think to yourself, I'm like, yeah, they've had quite a few early selections and early draft picks. You're like, Calvin Ridley, he was good for a very small window for 1 year. And he didn't play last year not able to play. I'm like, you're seeing a lot of this with those Alabama wideouts. That's all. Some of them play really well. I'm just saying, you have so many fantastic athletes on that team. It's just like with the Clemson defensive line. Remember how many fantastic defensive linemen they had? Top picks, early picks. Who the hell was that guy, that tweener? the outside linebacker for, I cannot even remember his name, the outside linebacker for Clemson that was selected by the Arizona Cardinals. He was like a
Isaiah.
safety.
No, he was from Clemson. Isaiah
I said
Simmons.
Clemson.
All
Grumpy.
right,
I'm
I'm
talking about
sorry.
Clemson here. Yes, I said it's like the Clemson D line. Isaiah Simmons, exactly. You see, because you've got a lot of those players that are very talented on one unit, it kind of covers up and masks up some of the deficiencies of some of these guys. Alabama wideouts are one of those. Areas. You see a lot. 15th pick, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, 26. I mean, Ridley seemed promising.
Ridley's been really good. I don't know what you're talking about. Not everybody's Jerry Rice. I mean, even go back a little bit further. Julio Jones, pretty good.
Julio Jones was fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, here's the thing. When you talk Calvin Ridley, and again, he had the off-the-field stuff, but even last year before the off-the-field stuff, 5 games played, 281 receiving yards. That's not like, oh, he's screaming fantastic. He's had 1 year. Think about this. Calvin Ridley turns 28 this year. He's had 1 season with more than 1,000 yards receiving.
Okay, but
that doesn't scream ultra successful.
But he was the secondary receiver in Atlanta. It was Julio Jones.
He should get fantastic matchups in as a secondary guy, Grumpy. We're in a pass-happy league playing 17 games a year.
But Julio Jones was...
Think about this. 17 games a year, if you need 1,000 receiving yards, you're only thinking to yourself, just to do the simple math, you're like, okay, he needs about 66 yards receiving or 60-some-odd yards receiving every single game in order to have 1,000 receiving yards when quarterbacks throw for 300 yards on a consistent basis. You should pretty much get this by showing up. It's like a participation award. Hey, fantastic. I clock in, clock out as a top 2 guy.
But Julio Jones was getting all the catches regardless. They were forcing him the ball. Julio Jones was really good. I mean, what are you going to do? Throw to a secondary guy when you got... It's the same thing I was saying about with the Raiders, right? Somebody's not going to get fed, and that's Hunter Renfrow, because Devontae Adams is there. There's only so many balls to go around. Devontae Adams is so good. It's like, yeah, okay, Hunter Renfrow is a good secondary option, but we're giving the ball to Devontae Adams. He's a stud. That's the way it was in Atlanta. As soon as Julio leaves, all of a sudden this kid's career takes off.
Oh, I don't want to start getting into, McDaniels not being suited or not being, a good enough head coach, because, I mean, he's been miserable. He's been miserable to start this season. I don't think much of Josh McDaniel, and I think that he hurts that Raiders team. I'm just saying, right? We talk about some of those guys that were early draft picks, those guys that were first rounders from the Alabama receiving core, right? It's tough. Here's the thing. I'm not going to look at it and say, oh, great. And Waddle, definitely, I'll say he's panned out. Absolutely, no doubt about it. For certain he has. But those Alabama wideouts,
okay, the only guy you can
have
say
failed than have been successful, right? You look at the positions, right? Look at how many Alabama defensive linemen come out and they're successful. Look at how many offensive linemen come out in that high success rate. Look at how many running backs come out and are very successful running backs. It just isn't the same with the wide receiver group. Wouldn't you agree? Think about how many successful running backs Alabama turns out. Think about consistently how many starting offensive linemen, successful offensive linemen they turn out. The same exact thing with defensive line and defensive backs, safeties specifically, and even corners. It's just wide receivers. They turn out these guys, early picks, top end talent, and you're like, it's been relatively underwhelming.
I disagree. What do you consider underwhelming? Who
compared to the other groups they turn out, they have think about the running backs, even just as of recent. Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs, I think went to Alabama. I mean, Damian Harris was a 3rd-round pick, I think. He's a guy who starts for the Patriots. I mean, you look at your Derrick Henrys. Like Scarborough, but he was a late pick. But there's so many running backs that have been selected early. Yeah, that's right. Derrick Henry not too long ago in 2016. They're running backs of very high success rating and being successful players in the NFL. Same thing with offensive and defensive linemen and even linebackers. But they turn out a whole bunch of these wide receivers, and they're like, some are very mediocre and pedestrian. I've always been disappointed with Jerry Jeudy. I'm sorry. I just don't think he's going to pan out. I think I've been very underwhelmed by him, and he's not the first Alabama wide receiver I've been underwhelmed about that's been drafted in the 1st round as of recent.
Name a second one.
Henry Ruggs before the accident.
Henry Ruggs. Okay, Henry Ruggs.
Calvin Ridley.
No, Calvin Ridley's put up good numbers.
He's 20. He'll be 28 this year. He's had one season.
I don't care how old he is. He's put up good numbers. And he, once again, he was the number 2 receiver against a guy who's probably a Hall of Fame talent, Julio Jones. He gets the ball.
How about this? Do you consider Amari Cooper as the 4th overall pick in the draft? Do you consider him successful? 4th overall pick in the draft.
He's been really good. He was really good. Amari Cooper's been a really good wide receiver. He was really good with the Raiders, and he was really good with Dallas. Now he's with Cleveland. You know, they don't really have a quarterback. I mean, I totally disagree with you. I don't know what you expect. You expect every wide receiver to come out of there, have 1,500 yards a season receiving the ball. It's just not the way it goes. It depends on what system you go into, what team, what's the quarterback like, who else is on the roster.
Every single one of these running backs, Alabama turns out, most all offensive linemen, most all defensive linemen, most all linebackers, every single one of them turn out to be absolute studs.
You're wrong. Alex Leatherwood is a disaster.
I never thought much of him. A second-round pick, he starts every game. I don't think much of him, but he starts every game. He's an offensive lineman. What type of accolades are you expecting offensive linemen to collect?
The wide receivers all start every game too.
Oh my God.
I think you're just being ridiculous.
Oh my God. Okay. Alex Leatherwood, a second-round pick. We're cherry picking a second-round pick as an offensive lineman. I think Evan Neal, right? He's been fantastic, wouldn't you say?
He's been okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Leatherwood was a first. Yeah, I thought it was a way overreach anyway. But I mean, like, Landon Dickerson has been good for the Eagles. I mean, like, he's a second-round pick there for them. I think Evan Neal's been good for the Giants earlier on too. It's not like when they pump out first-round pick talent, most times successful across the board. D-line, O-line, linebackers. I'm just saying, I've been underwhelmed with some of those wide receivers they've been pumping out. You know, Waddle's been very successful. He's been the most successful wide receiver, I'd probably say, since Julio Jones. Right, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting if you're the 4th overall pick, you're putting up production like a guy like Waddle does.
Okay.
I don't know. We've gotten way off topic. I have not been impressed, and I haven't been like, oh, wow. What I see from Amari Cooper has been fantastic.
Amari Cooper's been a really, really excellent wide receiver for a lot of years. A lot of years. Why don't you bring up his numbers? I bet you he's been over 1,000 yards how many times, right? That's your threshold. Is 1,000 yards?
I'm saying 1,000 yards is a minimum. It's like
that's a minimum now.
1,000 yards is a freaking minimum. You play 17 games in the regular season.
How many wide receivers on each team you think get 1,000 yards receiving?
Don't worry, I can pull it up for you. Grumpy, here are the stats. You can talk about that as I'm pulling that up.
Okay. So, I mean, you know, you're just looking at the yardage here, right? I mean, look at the.
I'm looking at production. I'm looking at production, man. And here's the thing. Amari Cooper had a fantastic quarterback last year in Dak Prescott. You know, like, where was the production, my friend? Michael Gallup went out early with injury. Where was the production? I don't know. Fourth overall pick.
Okay. Look at Amari Cooper put up over 1,100 yards receiving when Dak Prescott was out the previous year. That speaks to how good he is. Almost 1,200 in 2019.
That's when they didn't have CeeDee Lamb too, right? CeeDee Lamb comes in, boom, immediately becomes the guy. That's what I mean by top tier talent, right? Top tier players when they pick, they step up and answer the call. So Amari Cooper wasn't the guy.
Okay,
in Dallas last year.
So he's had over 5 of his first 6 years. He's had over 1,000 yards. 5 of his first 6 years, over 1,000 yards.
Okay, so we're just excluding that one, and we're going to be excluding this year too. That's fine.
Well, you don't know. It's only 2 games in, 3 games in.
3 games in, correct.
Okay, that doesn't mean that he's not going to put up numbers. Jacoby Brissett's his quarterback. But I think he has a shot for 1,000 yards. I think you're underselling. You're just underselling Amari Cooper. He's been a really good wide receiver.
Been talent like 4th overall pick talent?
Maybe not 4th overall, but you can't say that he's not been.
So if he doesn't look like he's as valuable as the 4th overall pick, would you not say that's underwhelming? All I'm saying is I've been underwhelmed with a lot of these top tier talents from the wide receiver classes from these Alabama teams. It's like with quarterbacks from USC. You could not fucking pay me to draft a quarterback at USC. Never, ever, ever. The last quarterback I can think of that's successful that came out of USC was Mark Sanchez for a very, very short time period. But Matt Leinart was a waste. You look at it, Carson Palmer was the last really successful quarterback from USC. How many quarterbacks have been? Was that?
That's going to change now. They have a real coach in there now.
Bullshit. Because it moves us into the next topic, right? You look at the quarterback class, grumpy old man, for this year. And this is what's kind of made me look at this here. have you taken a look at what the quarterback rankings are and who's, the top rated quarterbacks that can be ready for the draft, et cetera? Top rated quarterbacks in college football, the power rankings. Have you taken a look at that?
I have not, but it's got to
Oh,
be right. It's got to be the kid from Alabama,
you're talking about Bryce? Yeah,
Bryce Young.
CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Drake May from North Carolina, Caleb Williams at number 4. That's laughable.
Okay, Caleb Williams.
That's laughable.
But Caleb Williams is not eligible to be in the draft this year.
No, I'm just saying these are top quarterbacks, the top quarterback power ranking, Grumpy.
Okay.
I think to myself, I'm like, but like I'm telling, like, positionally, right? You could not pay me money to draft a USC, University of Southern California quarterback. Sorry.
This kid's played
How many more guys and I understand not every situation is the same. How many USC quarterbacks do I need to see in recent memories just flop and fail out of the NFL? I'm not touching those guys with a 10-foot pole.
You might as well just say Oklahoma quarterbacks because Lincoln Riley's there now. It's not who was there previous. You can't, it's different. It's different. You're going to see the quarterbacks that come out of USC are going to be drafted extremely high every year, like your Kyler Murray's, your Baker Mayfield's, your Jalen Hurts's. Those guys, that's what you're going to see coming out of USC now. Because you got it's a whole different scheme they run. It's not running back you.
Can you name me one quarterback that Lincoln Riley actually groomed from his freshman year into when he was drafted? Every single quarterback that he's had drafted were all transfers. Every single one.
Kyler Murray was not a transfer.
Played at Texas A&M his first year. Absolutely.
No, that was Baker Mayfield.
It was also Kyler Murray, my friend. Kyler Murray played.
He was playing with the Oakland A's. He signed a contract with the Oakland A's.
Okay, time to show you wrong here. Kyler Murray played his first year.
Well, then it's even more impressive.
It's more
impressive what he's done.
Okay. How are those guys panning out in the NFL? Do you remember when I talked about overrated Kyler Murray? How has he looked so far this year?
Really good.
Baker Mayfield. How has he looked so far this year? All of them look like shit, except Jalen Hurts. Shockingly enough, I thought he was the least talented of the bunch, and he surprised the hell out of me.
It's the magic. He got sprinkled with Lincoln Riley dust.
He's got sprinkled with the Lincoln Riley dust. Ugh. You want to know why he was more successful than any of the quarterbacks? Because he spent the most time away from Lincoln Riley. He's a quarterback that spent most years developing away from that.
He couldn't even throw the ball. He couldn't even throw the ball at Alabama.
I'm obviously being facetious. He helped develop Lincoln Riley helped develop Jalen Hurts. No doubt about it. I'm honestly shocked with what Jalen, like, you talk about players who have shocked me the most so far in this early season so far, week going into week 4 of the NFL. Jalen Hurts has impressed me and surprised me.
He's got weapons around him now.
He's got fantastic weapons.
Top
tier weapons.
He's got same
exact thing with Tua, right? They've got fantastic weapons there, just like in Philly. Fantastic weapons.
He's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith from Alabama, by the way. The running backs are okay, serviceable, but I mean, he's still great running the ball. He doesn't run as much as he used to, which is great. You don't want your quarterback running all the time. I think it's a mistake. But, he's done a nice job. Miles Sanders has stayed healthy. The Eagles' defense has been good so far. I mean, they've been a surprise team for me this year. I mean, I'm as far as I'm concerned, you can pencil them in as NFC's champions already. 3 weeks in.
You mean the NFC East, right?
Yeah, what'd I say?
NFC's champions. I'm like,
NFC
man, oh man, you're jumping to say they're going to already be the NFC champions. You didn't say East.
NFC East champions.
There's a big difference between the champions of the NFC. You're saying they're making it to the Super Bowl.
They could make it to the Super Bowl.
Oh, fucking stop. Stop.
Who else has impressed you in the NFC?
Okay, I know you're a fan of them, and I hate speaking positively about them at all. But, man, Tampa. Tampa.
Okay. Right now, Tampa's offense is abysmal. They've had injuries. Yes, they'll get better.
How many injuries and how many players have been out? Exactly.
A lot.
Okay, Godwin's out. Mike Evans was suspended last week. You had
Jones, Gage. They've all been hurt.
I'm not worried about Tampa, but I'm like, you look at the Eagles. They won by 3 points over the Lions, and albeit the Lions have looked competitive this year. They beat the Minnesota Vikings. What are they? They're 2-1. They beat the 1-2 Detroit Lions, and they beat the 1-2 Washington Commanders.
I mean,
does that scream like, oh, we're playing really tough teams? No.
I don't know.
I'm just saying it's a little early to be saying they can make the Super Bowl. The threshold of the talent they've played hasn't been necessarily the toughest to start this year. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm just saying the Eagles look really good. I realize it's early, but they made some nice moves in the offseason. Good for the Eagles. I hate the Eagles, but good for them. Anything from Philadelphia just has a stink to it, doesn't it?
I'd say. Grump, hold on. 22. 23 receivers last year had over 1,000 receiving yards.
Okay, so not even one for every team. Not even one for every team. So
when you're a top 4 pick, consistent every
75, not even 75% of the teams have a receiver over 1,000 yards.
I'm going to say
not even 75%. So that's not the threshold. That means, okay, you're a high-level wide receiver. You're one of the top 25 wide receivers in the league, going by your metrics, right? So Calvin Ridley is definitely one of those guys, right?
One season.
Amari Cooper, definitely one of those guys.
Oh, yeah. I know neither of them had 1,000 receiving yards last year, but sure, throw them in there. That sounds good.
All I'm saying is you're just short selling these guys, and I think they've been good. I mean, Ruggs, that's a whole nother situation.
Ruggs never panned out before the off the field shit where he ran that person over and killed him.
It was his second year in the league. He played what, 5 games?
How many wide receivers now come out their first year and freaking light the world on fire? I.e., Justin Jefferson, i.e., Jamar Chase. All of these wide receivers that are early picks come out there and light the world on fire. It's happening more often than it has in the past.
More often than not, it doesn't happen. You're talking Justin Jefferson. Okay, he's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league. Not everybody's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league. Jamar Chase, right? He came out. He was spectacular his rookie year. But I mean, just to say that it's just not the way it is.
Waddle, right? 6th overall pick. I'd say he came out there and freaking lit the world on fire his first year. Yeah. Devontae Smith, I think, played well his first year.
He didn't but he's an Alabama guy. I don't think he lit the world on fire. He was banged up last year too, playing injured a lot. And that's the whole thing. You get injured, even if you're playing, but you're not healthy, you're not putting up the numbers you should. Health is really important too.
His first year, he's putting up 916 receiving yards. He played well. I know he's an Alabama receiver. Those two, I think, have played well. I'm just saying more often than not, a lot of those guys have been questionable. That's what I'm expecting from guys that are top 10 picks as a wide receiver. I'm expecting every single year it's like a freaking can of corn for you. 1,000 receiving yards, 1,000 receiving yards, 1,000 receiving yards. Look at how many guys do. Look at your guy. I'm expecting the consistency of a guy like Mike Evans. Consistent. A top 10 pick. That's what I'm expecting from those type of guys. Sorry.
You realize Mike Evans has had 1,000-year seasons. I think his first 7 or 8 years in the league. That's the all-time record. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
They throw the ball now more than they used to, Grumpy. You're going to see that. You're going to see people getting close to that record more often than not going forward.
It's tough because of injuries or whatever. It's tough. Things happen.
They do. Things do happen.
It's not like, it's the first time it ever happened. And, I'm not a big Mike Evans fan. I mean, to me, he's just he's a stat stuffer. In the big moment, he kind of disappears a little bit. But, he does put up numbers in the regular season. That he does.
Well, I'll tell you this much there. Oof. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Oh, wouldn't you be shocked? Tua Tagovailoa left the game due to injury. Holy shit. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Hold on a second. Oof. Suffers an apparent serious injury while being sat. Holy crap. He was definitely playing concussed. Oh, man.
Last week?
Yep. And he is. Holy shit. Oh, my God. It's hard to watch.
Are you going to put
hold on. I'm going to show it to you, Grumpy.
Because you just go, that doesn't help anybody.
It's hard to watch. Here's the thing. The Miami Dolphins and that organization should be freaking penalized to the maximum extent. This kid had a concussion last week and he freaking, oh no, my back's hurt. Remember I told you, do you remember everybody last week? I talked about the only person that lying about a Tua injury hurts is Tua the player.
True.
We said his back wasn't hurt. I've seen concussions a million times and know exactly what that looks like. I'm going to let you watch this real quick, Grumpy. Tell me if you think his back's hurting him this time. Maybe his back, maybe he's got another back flare up. I'll let you watch it.
That's the thing he admires most, is his ability to make adjustments at halftime.
To a rolling left.
Stands there forever.
He goes. Slung down at his own 48-yard line. Josh Cooper.
He's injury prone.
And
Look at his hands, dude.
Maybe his finger was broken or something.
No, his hands had stuck, like his body had tensed up. His body. It's like sometimes when you see people get concussed. You remember when Nathan Horton was concussed and his hands were stuck rigid like this because his bell was wrong. He was concussed. He was playing while concussed, and he got further concussed because they didn't treat him right.
I'm going to bet he doesn't come back today.
No, he's out for this. He's out for the rest of the game. He's been ruled out. Here's the thing. The Miami Dolphins should definitely be punished to the fullest extent they can punish people at. I'm sorry. They need to make an example out of that. They seriously do. He had a concussion. It was blatant. Comes back in that same game, plays that game, comes in Thursday, gets sacked, and you see that concussion just magnified. I mean, Grumpy, here you go. I mean, it's not a good look. Maybe. Eyes closed. I don't know if you could see that. Eyes closed. Fingers. That's awful. I hate seeing that stuff.
Maybe he dislocated a finger too. Who knows?
Oh, I don't know about that. Yep, Tua. He's been taken to the Cincinnati Medical Center for more testing.
Okay. What was the knock on Tua coming out of college?
He was injury prone.
Injury prone. Has anything that what you've seen for him in the pros showed any different? He gets thrown down to the ground, he's out. He falls down, he's out. You know, I say it all the time. The best ability is availability. Look at how long Brady's played. Except for tearing the knee injury that he had in 2008 for game one, he's never missed a game with injury, ever. That's why he is where he is.
I want to tell you this. If this is one of those career-ending type of injuries, because concussions affect everybody differently. He had concussions at Alabama. Again, not a medical professional. I'm going out on a limb. I told you this last Sunday. I think he was concussed last Sunday. Bullshit on the back injury. I told you that last week. And this happens. If it's declared that this is one of those injuries that I'm not sure he'll be able to play through, he should absolutely come at the Miami Dolphins and sue the living shit out of them. Absolutely, he should.
Okay. At the end of the day, the player says, and the doctor, can he come back and play?
Okay. The doctors are supposed to take the helmet away and say, you have a concussion. It was his clearest fucking day. Like, I couldn't walk straight. And now he's over here. He can't freaking move his hands because he's just completely tense like this after getting concussed. Another concussion for this guy. Back-to-back weeks with concussion. The 1 week undiagnosed, blatant, clear as day. Everybody could see it on the freaking center stage. Let him play through it. On Thursday, he comes and plays again, gets sacked, and another concussion. Right? We can go out on a limb and say this one's probably concussion, or are we saying his back's injured on this one too? After his head got slammed into the ground last week, and it looked like he couldn't stand up, that was the back injury. Oh, it was his back injury. That's what it was. His back flared up.
Okay. I mean, he's hurt. He's always been hurt. He's all in college. He was always hurt, and it's always different injuries, not even the same ones.
He had hand injuries, ankle injury surgeries. Yes, I know. And like this may be the end that we see from him career-wise.
It's a little early to say that, isn't it?
When you have Grumpy, when you have concussions and you play through it and you get concussed again on top of it, it magnifies the severity. When you magnify the severity like that, you're much more prone to having them again. How many concussions, right? how many concussions?
Brett Favre had over thousands of concussions. He said so himself. Thousands. He played till he was 41. Thousands. So
And that's why he stole all that money. That's why he stole all that money for that. They stole all that money for the poorest of the poor on welfare to build a volleyball stadium because his concussions made him forget, Grump. Thousands of concussions made him forget.
You sound irrational today.
I don't know. I hate seeing this type of shit because this is complete neglect. And this is why having the doctors on the sideline should take this out of the sport. They had made such a huge push to where even if it looks like you have a concussion, if we even have the smell test that you have a concussion, you immediately get put in concussion protocol, and that's that. He had a concussion last week, clear as day. I don't put him in concussion protocol. Send him back out there. That's why he's back out here again on Thursday, and that's why his concussion looks like this.
I think the bigger issue is he's just fragile.
He is fragile. He is fragile.
I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't concussed last week. I believe he was. But to me, he's always hurt. That was the bugaboo against him coming out of college. Hurt all the time. Always injured. It doesn't get better the older you get. It gets worse. If you're injury prone when you're a kid, you think it's going to be better when you step up a level in competition? It's not.
Man, I seriously feel bad for Tua.
I can't believe he needed to get rid of that ball before then. I mean, that's on him. Honestly, that sack. I'm not saying the concussion is, but I'm like, he saw that guy coming right in his face. He saw him coming.
Tua Tagovailoa suffered head and neck injuries, is being transferred to level 1 trauma center in Cincinnati per telecast. Is level 1 trauma center bad, or what's the worst, Grumpy? Is it bad? Is it like DEFCON 1 is the worst DEFCON? Is that the same with trauma centers, or how does that work?
I don't know. Your wife is the doctor. Maybe you should ask her.
I have no idea.
Why don't you wake her up and go on this little diatribe and have her smack you over the head with
He was carted off the field.
But that's happened to him before too. It's always the case. Isn't that how he went into the tunnel last week? They put him on the
back. Remember, he had the back injury. He had the ankle injuries. He's had concussions before in the past. He's a guy who is very fragile. And the fact that they let him play on that blatant concussion that we saw last week just pisses me off. It does.
Okay. I guess, I'm not saying I'm surprised because he's always hurt. He's always hurt. It's been like that.
Saying that's somewhat avoidable. The severity of that concussion was avoidable. If you don't play while concussed, if you get hit like that and concussed again, you don't have something where your fingers are locked up like that and you can't move your body. It's not as severe. That's a concussion that's going to keep him out for weeks. He's not coming back to action for weeks. Best case scenario, weeks, plural. He's playing Thursday. I could see him missing bare minimum the next 2 or 3 weeks. Bare minimum.
Well, Teddy Bridgewater, come on down. You're the next contestant on Miami Dolphin quarterback.
I'm sorry. We got to get to some comments. I know we went off the freaking rails.
We've gone off the rails. I don't think I've said 3 words the whole time.
Grumpy, you getting a call over there. Who's calling you?
That's not my phone. That's the warden's phone.
Drew L said, Tua might have just had a brutal finger injury just now. Rest in peace, Dolphins. Well, yeah, I think it was just early when the reports came out. Yeah, unfortunately, the hands. D-Cut saying, "Sup, boys? What's up, D-Cut? How are ya?" Goon says, I was lucky to beat the Mets game last night. The ending was wild. I lost my cool and clapped. Holy shit, Goon clapped.
Wow. I heard that's something that I made. What do you do? Just kind of flip his lid up on top of the toilet seat. Is that how it went?
You know what's bad when this was like the first stuff on the they must have just. I mean, that injury must have happened immediately as soon as this podcast started. Miami should call up Fitzpatrick, and Tua May just died. It didn't look good. Oh my God! Drew L says Alexander's in shambles right now, crying by the TV. Oh no! I'll be honest with you. Dolphin fans should be upset with what their organization did to that young man. I feel bad for him. I really do. That could be the end that we see from him. Joseph C says Tua was slammed down, ground head first. No way he doesn't have a concussion. Yep. D-Cut saying Alexander should put his Tua jersey on eBay at discount before people realize he's died. Oh. If he would, I think that would actually increase the value.
I hope Alexander's okay.
I hope Tua's okay too. I
Well,
hope
I hope Alexander's okay because we know Alexander, and I just want to make sure that he doesn't do anything crazy now because he's been riding such a high with the Dolphins winning 3 games. That might be the last 3 they win this year.
Oh, stop. I think that team is extremely talented. I think that even without Tua, they can win together a few games. Here's the thing. I hope they don't rush him back. I hope when he comes back, he's not, when you have a significant injury like that, it takes a while to get the confidence back. Head injuries are a little different too. And he's in a spot where it's like, I'm not hitting every play, right? If you're hitting every play like a lineman, okay, you kind of know immediately if it's like, okay, it's still not feeling good, I need to stop. He won't know really, and it's tougher for him to know because it's not like, hey, we're going to do practice sacks over here, practice you getting slammed into the ground. It's not like that.
Are we going to play amateur physician today? Is that what we're doing now?
Amateur. I'm just telling you, like that shit. Okay, I went on a big dialogue last Sunday about how it was a blatant concussion. They played him out there and they called a bullshit back injury. And there, they fucked it up. And I know that. Grumpy, you see that shit all the time. I don't know, dude. That shit pisses me off. It really does. That's something fierce. I think it was avoidable, and it wasn't avoided.
Okay.
Drew L says Cortland Sutton is Russell Wilson's favorite target. Kind of expected that since Russell immediately shunned off Tyler Lockett once DK Metcalf got settled in the offense. Russ likes big wide receivers.
There you go.
Frank K saying touchdown Bengals 14-6. Drew L says, by the way, Grumpy, your Drake London take is aging like spoiled rotten milk. I told you if I drafted him, he'd be good. He was in a prime position to succeed. Has Drake London played well this year?
He's done well. Kyle Pitts finally got involved in the offense last week. I mean, the more it goes on, the more Kyle Pitts is going to be involved. Drake London's been okay. He's the number 1 wide receiver there. I mean, Marcus Mariota is doing an okay job at quarterback position. It kind of is what it is at this point.
He's playing okay. 3 games, 214 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. He's playing all right.
70 yards a game. Yeah.
It's early yet. That's all I'm going to say. It's early yet. He plays on a team that plays catch up a whole hell of a lot.
That helps.
You wonder how many of those stat stuff, we talk about that. Gungun says, speaking of the Mets, how will they fare versus the Braves? Hopefully they don't fall asleep versus the Nationals. It's funny. I wanted to talk today. As a Mets fan, I'm looking one ahead. I'm like, how are they going to fare against the Dodgers? I'm going one ahead, Grumpy. I mean, let me ask you this. How do the Mets match up against the Braves, Grumpy, do you think?
I think they match up really well against the Braves. They played them well this season. They've moved DeGrom up to pitch on Friday. So, they know how important the series is. You want to get potentially that first round bye, right? In the first round bye, I mean, that's certainly what you want to get if you can. You don't want to be in the play-in game. That's for certain. Too much risk going to the play-in game. I think the Mets will be fine. I've said it all year. I just think that they are a team built to win. I don't know if they're going to beat the Dodgers or the Astros. I mean, the Braves are going to be tough. The Braves are another team. Those are the 4 teams for me out of the American League, even though Cleveland, the Indians/Guardians, are really playing well right now. That's Houston's league to lose. I don't see the Yankees having even a remote shot against them. I think it's going to be Houston against the Dodgers. That's my pick. It could be the Mets, could be the Braves.
I wanted to show you this, Grumpy. 107 wins for that Dodgers team.
It's a lot of wins.
I'd say it is most wins in Dodgers history.
Yeah. I remember one year when the Seattle Mariners, I think they had 116 regular season wins, and the Yankees beat them in the ALC Championship Series and wound up winning another World Series.
To think about this, too, this is all done this year, too, Grumpy, without Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
You just wonder, and again, he still is fighting that, and he's released videos of the lady he apparently assaulted, the video she was sending and Snapchatting after the brutal sexual assault. that she was bringing forth, and it's like her smiling and like sending Snapchat videos of her with Trevor Bauer, and he's just like sleeping with like a sleep apnea face mask on or something like that. And it's just like he's fighting those allegations. He's trying to be able to play, quite obviously, and it is, yeah. You just imagine how good that Dodgers team would be if Trevor Bauer was still on that.
They're good.
They're
The
really
Dodgers
good.
are good. Do they have? I just even though they won a World Series, I don't think it wasn't last year. It was 2 years ago, right? Or was it last year? I think it was in the shortened season. I think they won the World Series. But to me,
yeah, it was 2020.
They don't have that clutch. They don't have a lot of clutch players on there. They don't. And when things get tight, they tend not to win. But that doesn't mean it's not possible. I mean, I think they're the best team in baseball. It doesn't mean you win all the time.
Yeah, I was about to say, because it was the Braves last year who won, right? The Dodgers won in 2020.
That's right. It was the Braves. That's right. It was the Braves last year. That's right.
Yeah. And the Dodgers had been there. And I think you look at it, the Dodgers, how many times did the Dodgers lose like in the last 4 or 5 years? They lost quite a few times too, because I remember they lost to the Red Sox, and that was when Nolan Eovaldi, who pitched like however many freaking innings, had that huge. I'm sorry, Nathan Eovaldi, had that huge. It was back and forth. He was pitching like a million innings. Grumpy. I do remember. I remember staying up and watching that game. Like, holy shit, I got to go to work, and that game just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I do remember that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, I think the Dodgers are the team to beat in the National League, the Astros in the American League. I just think they're both built. I like the way Houston's built better, honestly. But the Dodgers have pitching. They're always, historically, their organization has pitchers. It doesn't matter if they lose Trevor Bauer or they lose Dustin May or if they lose Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, or whoever. They always have pitching. That's an organizational strength for the Dodgers. Historically has been, still is. Anybody that they draft who's a pitcher is like, shit, that's a guy you got to look out for. Look at their relief pitching. It's phenomenal.
Same thing with the Mets. Mets draft really good pitch. You know, it's like the opposite of those Alabama wide receivers.
Oh God.
Joseph C says here, if the Mets sweep the Braves, they win the division. If the Mets win two out of the 3, their magic number is 1 because they would own the tiebreaker against the Braves.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they moved DeGrom up a day myself.
I think they're getting ready where it's just going to be, hey, we're running those shortened items. It's just going to be DeGrom, Scherzer, and
that's not true. There's no way there is absolutely no way that they're running shortened rest for starters in the regular season.
No, I'm saying as we get ready for the postseason. I think they're already looking at the postseason.
Okay, maybe they're
lining up to match it up. They're trying to line it up so when the regular season ends, they're going to have a certain time period. So when the postseason begins, they'll be fine. So pitch 1 day earlier now, get the extra day of rest when we start the postseason.
Okay,
that's what I'm thinking they're trying to do. Drew L says it's weird. Ever since Boone benched Hicks, the Yankees have been on a tear again. They've won, I think, like 10 of the last 11 or 10 or 11 in a row. To be honest, I like their current lineup. I hope it stays during the playoffs.
They have some guys in the lineup who were just put the bats on the ball, put the balls in play. Not so many strikeouts. They could be getting Matt Carpenter back, and they could be getting, who's the other batter that they're missing? Gosh, name slips my tongue now. But another batter could be coming back also for the stretch drive. And, that's what they need. DJ LeMahieu could be coming back.
Return of Jedi Rusty Spooner says Tua looked like he just took a retirement shot.
Every time he gets hit, it seems like that.
Leatherwood cut by the Raiders. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'd call that a bust.
Yeah, sure. Bust, absolutely. Cooper had 2 games so far, 100-plus yards. They've played 3 games total. Was he at like 2? I know one of those games he was miserable in. But, I mean, like, what are the weapons the Browns have? He's the only guy. He's the only
quarterback sucks. The quarterback sucks. Quarterback's got to be able to get the ball.
even when think about the Panthers. Do you remember when Robbie Anderson had that fantastic year and he was putting up 1,000+ receiving yards? It's because they had no other weapons in Carolina. Somebody has to catch the ball, just like somebody has to put the puck in the net for all teams.
Cleveland is a running team. They're still a running team. That's what they do. They run the ball with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That's their MO. It just is.
Teams have to stack everybody in the box, and it should be really easy to be successful throwing the football.
They're a good run blocking team. They still generate yards.
Their offensive line across the board is really good.
It doesn't matter what you think. I'm just telling you what actually happens.
Okay.
Your
Jacoby
irrational hatred.
Jacoby Brissett's averaging over 30 passing attempts every game. Run team, run happy team. Bam, bam, bam. 30 passing attempts every game.
That's not a lot. Everybody, how many other teams are throwing 50 every game? There's a difference. They run the ball an awful lot.
Referring to a team as a run happy team doesn't have the same exact play as what a run happy team used to be years ago, Grump.
Okay, all I know is Nick Chubb gets over 100 yards rushing every single week. Kareem Hunt catches a lot of dump offs, and he generates rushes out of the backfield as well. I mean, how long have you ever watched Cleveland play? It seems like you've never seen the game of football before, because that's what they do. They run the ball. We've had this discussion 100 times. They're a running team. They're a run-based team. Kevin Stepanski, that's his offense. Run, run, run.
Wondering what your kids do online?
That was loud. Stefanski, you mean? But yeah, when you look at Chubb, averages 20 carries a game. That's fine.
That's a lot of touches for a running back in today's NFL as a rusher.
The good running backs all 20
okay.
carries
20 rushes, that's 340 carries a year. That's a lot of carries. They're a rushing team. That's what they are.
Evan Neal was doing pretty decent till the Cowboys game, but that front seven is ridiculously talented. I like Evan Neal. He's gonna be a fantastic offensive lineman.
Yeah, he played like a rookie against the Cowboys. But I agree. He got caught. They caught him in a couple of moves, a couple of defensive stunts.
Twists.
He lost where he was. And Danny took a couple of shots back there. I'll say one thing about Daniel Jones. If he took shots like Tua take, he'd be playing all the time. If Tua took shots like Daniel Jones takes, he wouldn't get out of a first half of a game playing for the Giants.
Yeah, it's hard to follow, but okay. Gungun says, last night you both said you said to not get too constipated, RE concerned the Islanders thus far. But it's the same old story. A puny power play, shorthanded goals, and worst of all, just plain boring hockey.
True. It's just exhibition, though.
And Drew L says, speaking of underwhelming wide receivers this year, let's talk about Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson for the last
Jefferson went off his first week and's been almost invisible the last two. Like I said, it happens. But they're supremely talented, and it could just be the game plan for that week. Maybe the game plan is, okay, we're going to go away from that.
I watched all those Minnesota games. Minnesota was Minnesota's never going to be Minnesota's never won the damn Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. It's just never happening. I just you watch him week in, week out like that, and just ugh. My God, what a team like that would do with a legitimate quarterback. I mean, Kirk Cousins is an upper echelon game manager.
He average.
Occasionally shows flashes, but at worst, he's in normal on average, he's a game manager.
He's above average quarterback.
He really benefits from having a fantastic run game. It allows him to pass the football. Teams that have a great running game, Grumpy, opens up avenues throwing the football. John P. Good, Grumpy.
He's above average.
John P says, hello, gentlemen. Ooh, look at the new picture, Grumpy.
New hat. Look at that. John's living the life right now.
New boot. What do they call that? New boot goofing, Grumpy, is what they call the kids call.
I don't even know what that
John
means.
P says, hello, gentlemen. Long time no speak. Hope all is well. By the way, to update, head/neck injury, taken to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. Return of the Jedi. Rusty Spooner says USC quarterbacks are terrible, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, you could not pay me to draft a USC quarterback until somebody breaks that freaking trend. Not taking a chance.
I'm just saying that there's a new sheriff in town at USC. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. There've been plenty of sheriffs in town. Hasn't necessarily resulted in anybody talented in the NFL.
Yeah, but not somebody who's a quarterback whisperer like Lincoln
Riley.
Riley.
That was too early.
Lincoln Riley
last week.
Lincoln Riley is a really good quarterback coach.
How did Caleb Williams look last week against the Oregon State Beavers?
They won.
Not good is the answer.
He's looked really good this year. He's looked really good this year. So what? It's one game. So what?
Right.
So what?
Oregon State.
Oh my God.
It sucks.
Stop.
Sucks.
You're ridiculous.
Wickerman says, stick with the SEC. Fire quarterbacks. That's where you should draft your quarterbacks from. Drew L said, it's almost like when the quarterback isn't force feeding their only target, it makes them almost invisible.
True. What's
up, Frank? How are you? Return of Jedi. Rusty Spooner says here, that kid Quinn Ears, who plays for the Longhorns, is awesome. He would beat the bricks off of Bama if he didn't get hurt, or beating the brakes off of Bama if he didn't get hurt. Was doing it before he got hurt. He's a Saban killer, and just like Stroud will be in 2023.
We'll see.
I like Quinn Ears.
He did look good until he got injured. He did.
Yep, he's a talented QB.
Yeah.
Gungun says, TJ Grumpy, did either of you successfully solve the Rubik's Cube, or at least know somebody who did? Does it really mean anything in the grand scope of things? It's just a combination. You were like, and you flip it, and it's like I've seen how to do it, but I'm like, man,
okay.
I never owned a Rubik's Cube.
Are you going to answer his question? Have you successfully solved the Rubik's Cube?
No.
Okay. Do you know anyone who has?
I could successfully solve a Rubik's Cube.
Do you know? And the answer is no.
Yes, I do know many who have.
Okay. And does it really mean anything in the grand scheme of things?
No, it does not.
Okay. So here, I'll answer those three questions because I actually answer the questions that are asked as opposed to TJ, who just, I don't know what the hell he does. I have never solved it. I don't know anyone who has, and it means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme.
You don't know anybody who solved the Rubik's Cube?
No.
Yeah. Joseph C says the only reason I would shake the trend, with the USC and quarterbacks, is because Lincoln Riley is going to get 5-star recruits at quarterback almost every year.
That's my point.
They had done that in the past, though.
No, they haven't. Their team since Pete Carroll left, that team has been a damn dumpster fire. Since Pete Carroll was forced out, the last 10 years they've been terrible.
They're recruiting. Okay, being terrible. And their recruits coming.
You got to develop the quarterbacks. You got to develop. If you have somebody who could develop a quarterback, I don't care how much talent he's got. He's never going to pan out. These are high school kids coming in. You have to have somebody who's a quarterback whisperer, like Lincoln Riley. That's what he is. I mean, you're ripping on Caleb Williams. He's played 13 games his entire career.
He sucks.
And you're ripping on this guy.
He sucks.
I mean, I'm sorry. Here's the thing. He's improved light years from last year with Oklahoma. Light years. In another year, give him another year with Lincoln Riley, he's probably going to be a first-round draft pick, regardless if you like it or not.
He'll be a first-round draft pick, and he'll bust out.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. The kid's a winner, I'll tell you that much. Last year when I watched him in Oklahoma, I'm like, oh, he can't throw the ball. He's really improved throwing the ball, kind of like Jalen Hurts did when he went to Oklahoma. I mean, I think the kid has a chance. He certainly has a chance to pan out. I mean, just to write a kid off because he's 3-4 games into his sophomore season. He wasn't even a starter last year until the Rattler kid totally shit the bed. I mean,
he came into this off. He's got Blitnikoff wide receiver award winners.
And he's doing really well. They're doing really well. Take away last week, they're scoring 40 points a game. I don't understand. It's baffling. I listen to you. It's like, what's the problem over there?
Max Brown. Remember him? He was a 5-star recruit for USC. USC, after Pete Carroll, got plenty of 5-star quarterbacks.
They didn't have any coaches. The team went in the dumpster. They went on probation. They went to the dumpster. That's what happened. And only now are they coming out of it. with Lincoln Riley as coach. I told you 2 years they'd be in the bowl championship series. But guess what? It might be this year. I don't think it will.
They had Ed Ogeron for a bit.
Ed Ogeron was not a head coach for them.
Yes, he
Ed
was.
Ogeron was not a head
He was
coach
the
for them.
interim head coach for them. Yes, he was.
He was not a head coach. He was an interim guy. He's not a head
interim
coach.
head coach.
Ed Ogeron was never say Ed Ogeron, you're the guy. He was a fill-in after somebody got fired mid-year. No,
he was fantastic.
And Ed Ogeron, when you look at him, you think quarterback coach. Please.
When I think Ed Ogeron, I think Joe Burrow.
Please.
So
maybe
sure.
I think what he does is pick up women at gas station bathrooms. That's what he tries to do.
Oh, maybe that's about accurate. Wickerman says, "You play who on your schedule?
Who is on your schedule, TJ?
Oh, you play who is on your schedule?
You like to rip teams because they've only been this. You only play who you can play.
But the way you win matters. If you're playing shitty teams, you better freaking look dominant.
At the end of the day, if you win,
I get it.
That's all that matters.
I get it. I'm just saying, right? If you want to put a little extra pizzazz in the win column, dominate the teams you're supposed to be.
At the end of the day, they don't have pizzazz points. They just have W's and L's.
Well,
hey, guess what? You looked fantastic out there. You lost, but man, you had great pizzazz. Guess what? It's still a loss. You got to win games. All that matters, winning games.
Pizzazz points matter, Grumpy. Pizzazz points matter, my friend. Stephen S. says, this might be one of the craziest final weeks in baseball I've ever seen. The Phillies lost today and had the same record as us. 7 games left to go in the season. It's going to come down to the wire. Him and the Brew Crew, Grumpy.
Very true. Very true.
Return of the Jedi Rusty Spooner said some tight ends get 1,000 receiving yards plus a year and outdo some wide receivers. Just saying.
Kelsey, right? Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, true.
Gronk when he was healthy.
Frank says, you guys see what's happening with Tua. Yes, we did. His career may be over. Tua never should have been out there. I do agree with that, Frank. Never should have been out there. Got slammed hard in the ground. His fingers got called a fencing position. I looked it up or something. It was all over social media. It's a fencing position when your fingers get like that. Lawsuits will follow. Tua's doctor sent a tweet warning about this. I didn't know that. Drew L says, TJ, plenty of wide receivers don't light it up right out of the gate. You can name so many wide receivers who got good after their second or third seasons. I can make DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, or even Amon-Ra St. Brown. I thought Amon-Ra is in his second year now. He played really well last year, didn't he?
Yep.
I was about to say, DK Metcalf had a good first year, I thought. No?
He was okay. But every day was like, boom or bust with him. That's the type of wide receiver Russell Wilson used to like to throw to. Just throw those bombs down the field. Let a guy out physical his receiver and take it from there. It's always been that type of guy. He's always thrown a really good deep ball.
Yep.
Not the case this year so far.
Joseph C. said, they said he had movement in all of his extremities, but it looked like head and neck injury. Frank says, I'm a Jets fan, and I feel bad for the kid. Absolutely. St. Brown.
Here's the thing. We might dump on Tua, the player, but we certainly don't want anyone getting hurt.
No.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, we might even say get hurt, but we don't really mean it, just to let you know.
No. We're not actually rooting for injuries, believe it or not. Except when Grumpy wants to glue Leanders Lee. There might be some truth behind that.
That's true. That's true.
Drew L said, St. Brown only started lighting it up until Goff, or didn't start lighting up until Goff started to throw him the ball. He was neglected the first 8 games of his rookie season.
True.
Return of a Jedi Rusty Spooner said his head hit so hard that he could have decapitated himself at the brainstem. I'm not sure it was that bad, but that's kind of what your body looks like when that happens. It's not normal with his fingers. I'm not sure that happened. It was definitely a brain injury, though, for certain. And Drew L says Tua is getting transported. Yep, there it is. Serious injury. He won't be back. His career's over, man. I feel bad for him. Slinky. Grumpy, who is that a picture of?
Slinky?
Are you looking at it, Grumpy?
Yeah.
Slinkies. Is that Scarface?
It's Al Pacino as Scarface, but it's a caricature.
Mm-hmm. He said the Dolphins wanted to beat the Bills so bad they made them play last week and they made them play this week on a short week. Yep.
Maybe.
D-Cut saying TJ having another millennial meltdown. I don't know, D-Cut.
You have been irrational today.
Yeah, I don't know, D-Cut. Look at it like this. The guy, his career may never be the same because of what occurred, because of the medical mistreatment of this young man.
The medical malfeasance.
Medical malfeasance. You know what? I'm going to go one step further, Rumpy. Not only should the Miami Dolphins get the ultimate penalty, but every single one of those physicians should lose their licenses. Is that how far you want me to go, Grump?
God, you're just irrational.
Did you not get it, Grumpy?
It's a little. I know.
Did the voice not give it away for you, Grump?
It's just. Let's wait and see what happens. He was able to move everything. That's good news. All right. It's not like he's paralyzed or anything like that. He's always hurt.
I hope that's not the barometer. Okay, he's not paralyzed.
Well, is that good news? That's good news. So everything else
he was paralyzed, but
everything now is just a matter of conjecture. Everything. You wonder, okay, remember Sidney Crosby when he used to have all those concussions early in his career, wound up it was something with his neck? Isn't it funny? Tua, always neck injury. Oh, the neck, the back. Maybe he has something with his neck as well.
Sidney Crosby would be out there skating, would take a hit to the shoulder and was like, oh, I'm not feeling so great. It wasn't like he was down like this, unconscious on the ground, or when he's trying to stand up, you didn't see Sidney Crosby legs wobble out from underneath him. Return of Jedi Rusty Spooner says, yeah, no joke on those brain injury / brain stems with the neck and spinal cords injury all in one. Hopefully, he doesn't die today. Well, I think he's in okay shape. I don't think they're worried about hopefully death. Drew L says the overreactions from TJ are unreal today. TJ wants to woke up on the left side of the bed. Drew L.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck's going on with TJ.
Joseph C says here, yeah, it's not a millennial meltdown. Concussions are a big deal. Thank you, Joe. Here's the thing. I've seen that shit, and I know how it affects it's not like it just affects, okay, gotcha. Because here it is. It's really easy for us as fans, right? And it's a 15-minute news cycle. Gotcha. Well, after tonight, we'll close the book on that, and I won't think about Tua for the next 6 weeks because he won't be on the field. That's how the cycle works. But see how many guys are crippled or die young due to CTE after too many brain hits to injuries. Yeah, absolutely. He says level 1 is the worst. And John P said, yep, the level 1 trauma center is a facility that can handle the worst of injuries. Okay, so he got sent to the worst. He got sent for the worst shape facility.
But I want to say probably for precautionary measures.
Sure, I hope
that's what you want. I mean, that's what you do. I mean, you're not going to put him in, the dumpiest hospital downtown to have him sit and wait outside the emergency department, for 14 hours. Hey, where's your insurance card? It's not going to be like that.
Gungun says, Grumpy, before you met the warden, were you a ladies' man? Were you a stud as a former Long Island hotspots as Uncle Sam's and Spit? TJ, this may be a good time for you to take a pee-pee break.
I will just say that
Grumpy was a freaking loser.
No, not going to say that. But I had my fair share. I'll just say that.
Ugh. You know what, Grumpy? We should chemically castrate you now. You make me want to vomit.
Whatever.
Ugh.
Whatever. Like I said, no problem.
My friend said that's some kind of dancing or fencing response. Yeah, serious injury. Yep, absolutely. Yep. Level 1, you're close to the parking lot and ground level and your own special elevator to the roof for transport or export. It's the worst, most serious. Okay, gotcha. John P said, yep. On the broadcast, the physician said the finger symptom indicates a neurological injury reaction.
Nathan Horton came back. He could have played in games. Did he play in game 7? He was knocked out, I think, in game 3.
No, I thought it was game 3. Was it game 3?
No, it was in Boston, game 3. And he was knocked out. I think he was ready to play on game 7. He was ready to play. I don't know if he did or not, but he could have played. I know he could have played. And sometimes something looks worse. That looks really bad, but it's not necessarily the worst injury could have happened. We don't know. Like I said, everything is just up for conjecture right now. We don't know. I mean, all we saw is that one little snippet. We don't know. We don't know. Hopefully he's fine. That's all I'm hoping for.
I do remember he came back and played games. Oh, no. He made the trip to Vancouver for game 7, knowing he wasn't going to play. He didn't play.
Okay.
So he was out for the rest of that series.
Okay.
Remember Aaron Rome was the one who delivered that hit.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Return of the Jedi, Rusty Spooner says. It's also turf, too. The shit sucks. It's hard like clay. You need grass-only fields. Each team in the NFL, as a whole, you have enough money to do so. Maybe Tua dying will change things. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ, Rusty.
Now, here's the thing.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on television, but I'm going to say he's probably not going to die from this.
I hope not. He said, love watching the Phillies choke, by the way. They've lost 11 of their last 14 games, got swept by the Cubs, and are about to be a half game out of the wild card.
Think
with
about
the Brewers winning tonight.
Think about how bad they were when Girardi was manager, and then this other guy came in. I don't know who it is. I've forgotten. But they were great for the majority of the year, and then at the end, they're kind of tailing off a little bit. Be interested. I mean, it's exciting. Playoff race is exciting.
And John P. said 1986 Mets record, including the postseason, 116 and 59.
That's the Bill Buckner year.
Bill Buckner. And Drew said that's why they're called the Lolfins instead of the Dolphins. The laughing out loud Dolphins. Yeah. Drew said Joe Mixon about to have like 30 rushing attempts this game. I'm salivating so much right now. Fantasy points galore, he says. Benintendi, he should be back soon. Robbie Anderson has DJ Moore. TJ, what are you talking about? When Robbie Anderson had his breakout year, how many receiving yards did he have? He had 1 year in his career that was fantastic for them. I think that was the year Curtis.
TJ, what are you talking about? Bridgewater just sucks. That's why Anderson did well. Too many screen passes, man. That's what Drew said. I mean, Robbie Anderson is another guy because they were losing all the time. He get a lot of
he was getting a lot of garbage receiving yards.
A lot of garbage. That's right. A lot of garbage stats. Stat stuffer right at the end of games.
I'm gonna pull that. Damn, that 2020 freaking team. That was the year he exploded onto the scene. Was Robbie Anderson had a fantastic year. It was that 2020 year. I'm trying to see receiving.
And I think that that was the year that Curtis Samuel was still with them. I think he was hurt. And I think that DJ Moore
had 1,193 receiving yards. Curtis Samuel had 851. He only started 5 games, Curtis Samuel, so he must have been banged up, or maybe he just wasn't as big of a role. He was younger, but Anderson had that huge year. My God, Jesus, say who that was damn 2020. Who was quarterback? Was that Bridgewater? I cannot remember who the hell was quarterback. Was that the year where they did like the quarterback carousel with Bridgewater
and PJ
Walker, Cam Newton for a bit?
I don't think Cam Newton was there. Yeah, I think he was.
Okay, that was the year after. Gungun says long breaks between playoff series tend to hurt the New York teams. The Mets going to the World Series in 2015. The Islanders 4 years ago swept by the Canes, etc. My point, it may not be the worst thing for the Mets not to win the division.
But I think they're one-game play-ins, aren't they? I think it's one-game play-in. I could be wrong. They change the rules all the damn time.
Drew L said, damn, I know we may make fun of Tua's arm, but I'm convinced Bridgewater has a way worse arm than Tua. Jesus.
He's lucky to even be walking.
And
think about the horrible knee injury that he had. And he's
horrible knee injury. Yeah. Oof.
No one thought that he would ever play again.
Have you ever looked at Alex Smith's leg?
Yes, I don't want to talk about it.
It's disgusting. And I'm you look at okay, the break of that leg, and you're like, when you look at it, right? You heard the stories, like they had to do everything they could to save his leg. It looks exactly like that. Everything you would expect from a leg, where it's like we had to do everything we could to save the appendage. That is exactly what that leg looks like. It is.
When he
understand back, why he wears pants everywhere he goes.
When he came back after 2.5 years,
wow.
I did not want him coming back to play football.
Agreed.
And all I prayed was, don't get hurt.
Yep.
I mean, that's it. I mean, I just didn't want to see that man get hurt. It was incredible what he went through. ESPN did a really they did a in-depth piece on him, And what he went through, incredible.
Anytime I think about that, I just get goosebumps.
He was at risk for losing his life with that infection he had in there. I mean, it was trouble. He was in trouble.
Was it, I assume, like osteomyelitis or something?
I don't know.
Drew L said, "Oh, TJ, you just reminded me. App State lost in hilarious fashion. They're up 28-3 and then lost. Wow. They were up 28-3 over, who was it? It must have been
Fiddly Pup U.
No, James Madison. I think they lost to James Madison. James Madison's a good D1AA school. Man,
Okay.
I like App State, unfortunately. D-Cut says, if TJ blamed his lack of reading skills on him having multiple concussions, we may give him a pass. Not! That's what it is. Just like Brett Favre, I've had thousands of concussions. Thousands. And Goon says, Grumpy, at what point did you realize all of the Brat Pack actors of the 80s lacked any substantial acting talent?
I never thought any of them had true acting talent. They all played caricatures in every single role, for the most part.
Caricatures, Grumpy says. Got here. Gungun says, should the Dolphins be placed on a double secret probation for the mishandling of Tua? Not even secret.
That's what would have happened at Faber College. That's for certain.
I'm saying if that comes back, that probe comes back that he was determined, 2-year ban from the postseason.
Oh, stop.
2-year ban.
You are so ridiculous. This is
Make it 3. Make it 3. After that comes, make it 3. 3-year ban.
You're insane.
You want to make another? You want to make it 4?
Ban. You can't go to the playoffs. Stop.
You want to make it 4, Grump?
Stop.
You want to make it another, Grump?
You know where Faber College? Who went to Faber College?
Yeah, Blutarski. Yeah. I was trying to do because you were doing those 80s movies. I was trying to do an homage to Breakfast Club, Grump, but you weren't playing around. Double secret probation. Yeah, Drew said the Dolphins are about to get sued twice in 2 years. First Brian Flores and then Tua. Yeah, there it is. Maybe they should just disband the Miami Dolphins. Sorry, Miami fans. John P said, Jesus, TJ, did you forget your Facebook feed for comments? No, John P. I see you. I see you, John P. I see you. I showed your comments there, John P. We said the distinguished gentleman with the changed up hat. No, we see you. And then Drew L says, also, Joe Burrow looks terrible this year. His deep balls are gone. To Jamar Chase has been also invisible.
Yeah, that's why I like T. Higgins.
D-Cut says, I've got an eye now, TJ. You don't hear me bitching about I've got one eye now, TJ. You don't hear me bitching about it. You fight through adversity. That's what millennials don't get. Coddled generation.
And that shouldn't have been the case with you. That's for certain.
Jarrell said, not going to lie, Zach Taylor is not a good coach. 2nd and 11, and he runs the backup running back. My gosh. John P. said, Grumpy, do you remember the Hammerheads? The Mad Hatter.
That was during my era. That was during my era.
Why don't you read the rest of it, Grumpy? Do you
the
remember?
Mad Hatter, the OBI, and Good Times Comac. Yeah. Those are the good old days.
Let me ask you this. If the Bengals lose tonight, now with the Dolphins starting quarterback out for the effective second half, they went into halftime with a 14, I think, a 14-12 lead or a 14-10 lead. They went in the halftime with a lead. If they lose to the Miami Dolphins, are you starting to hit panic buttons in Cincinnati?
They're not going to lose to Miami today.
They're down right now, 14-14, 15-14 in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter. I think they're going to come back and win.
Okay.
You can't go 1-3. You can't lose that Thursday night game at home.
It's 4th and goal on the Miami 1-yard line. Does Zach Taylor go for it on 4th down, get stopped, and it loses them the game? How often do we see that shit? Where a guy goes for it on 4th and 1? I'd kick the field goal too. Please stay safe. Don't worry about trying to hammer it home. Kick the freaking field goal. 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line. Kick the freaking field goal. D-Cut says, let's have a spelling bee. A concussed Tua versus TJ. Who wins, Grumpy?
Oh, God.
I struggle spelling. I'm not a speller.
I'm going to still go for TJ.
Oh, Jarrell says a concussed Tua. That's true.
Oh, wow.
That's true.
I'm going to vote for you, TJ.
Gungun says, TJ, don't forget to listen to that full 15 minutes of radio enjoyment tomorrow. But don't you dare go over the allotted amount. Your radio may implode. That's true.
Yeah.
I got to watch out. Bad things happen if you listen to the radio more than once a week. Andrew L. said, the Mets just called up Francisco Alvarez. That's what I like to hear. Drew L. says, I think the Yankees either play Cleveland or Seattle in the ALDS. To be honest, it's much a better matchup than Toronto and Tampa.
I think that Cleveland's going to be a struggle for them. Cleveland's playing really, really well right now. Watch out for Cleveland. With that said, they probably get swept.
John P. said Alex Smith and Joe Theismann's leg. Shake my head. The Bengals must have kicked the field goal. Okay, up 17-15. I'm glad they didn't go for it on fourth. Thank God, Zach Taylor. Drew L. said, not going to lie, Joe Mixon blew it. He should have scored there. All he had to do was just jump over the offensive line. Well, he didn't want to get that ball punched out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Gungun said, and here's the thing, right? They're in a situation where probably Miami hasn't moved. I'm not watching the game, but I assume Miami probably hasn't moved the ball well in the second half. Take the points. Don't do something dumb. Don't turn over the ball in the red zone. Collect at least 3. Gungun says Tosh is a big Dolphins fan. It's safe to assume he's not a happy camper right now. Could it potentially affect his comedy?
I say no to that.
I'd say maybe in a positive way. It's going to fuel his comedy to do something more. I know we had talked about a little bit about quarterbacks. We talked a little bit about, Aaron Judge. Let's talk about that. Tied Roger Maris's record, Grumpy. You have to assume, right? He's going to break the record or close to it. Maybe he goes on a little bit of a cold streak to end the season. Will he break Maris's record, Grump?
Yes, he will. He'll hit a home run and break that record. Yes.
And I know you want to talk about comments made towards that by Maris, correct?
Yeah, about Roger Maris Jr. I don't know why people want to get on this high horse. As far as I'm concerned, I'm sure Aaron Judge is doing something as well. Everyone does. They just haven't got popped. You know what? It's an incredible feat, whether you're Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire or Sammy Sosa. Even if you're on steroids, you still have to be able to hit the ball.
Well, why don't you talk a little bit about the comments made, Grumpy?
He thinks the only official record would be his dad's record. I disagree. To me, again, I'm going to say I don't care. Now, here the thing, was Roger Maris on steroids? No. Nobody was back then. It started in the 80s. That's when it all started. And I think they're doing it to this day. Maybe they're not using something that's testing positive for, but they're taking something without a doubt. The players are so big right now that there's no way that you maintain that size with the grind that is the Major League Baseball season. You don't get stronger as the year goes on. I mean, back when I was a kid, that's why no one ever broke a home run record, because by the end of the year, you just got worn out. And you see the home run drop. Not in today's Major League Baseball, not with Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire. They got stronger as the year went on. So was Aaron Judge. I mean, I'm not saying he's definitely on something, but would it shock me? No, it would not.
I hope Aaron Judge gets it. I hope he breaks the AL home run record.
He will.
I got a few things to show you. I think you might. These are more humorous items, Grumpy, to wrap the show up. Drew L. says the old Fins will never win a Super Bowl.
Laces out, Dan.
Dan Marino didn't spin the laces out. And he said Ray Finkel is out somewhere living in an abandoned house in Wyoming right now.
That's right.
Andrew L. says, I hate when people say 62 is going to be the all-time single-season record. Last time I checked, Barry Bonds had 70-something. Yeah, I was about to say, Barry Bonds had the single-season record, and no doubt about it. But I'm just saying he'll break the AL record is all
73. 73 is the record.
And Andrew L. said here, steroids or not, Bonds hit 70-something there and never got popped.
True.
D-Cut says Aaron Judge does have a 19 home run lead over Kyle Schwarber. That's pretty impressive. Yep.
It is. He's had a great year in a contract year. Really good. Best year ever. Best year he's ever going to have is this year.
I want to pop up now that we're on the topic of baseball. I'm not sure if you saw this. Richard Bleer, did you see that he balked, I think, 3 times in a row? after never having balked before. I want you, right? We talk about the ump show where they try to make it all about themselves, Grumpy. I want you to take a look. He had never had a professional balk before. I want you to be the judge. Is he balking these three pitches here?
You cannot tie the game. 2 out and a runner at first with the Mets down by 3. So if you pitcher, how do you approach him? And a balk has been called against Blyer.
What?
Came to a full
Blyer,
stop.
I'm sorry.
And McNeil goes to
It
second.
looked like he came to us. Okay, it kind of jumped a little bit.
Back against the lefty.
What is that?
Strike, and it's 2-1.
Looked like a pitch to me.
Wow. So take that pitch away. Take his strike away, and it's the second balk of the inning.
This is Mattingly's last year's manager of the Marlins.
His major league career before tonight, and now he's committed 2 in the course of 1 at bat in his career against Blyer. Yeah, that's a strike. He thought it was low, and he called another balk. So he balks.
The manager's got to get out and just absolutely bitch that umpire up and down.
3 balks in the inning committed by Richard Blyer. And now,
Look at
this. It's a kid. It's a kid. Look at me.
Kid. He should go ahead and spit on him. Get the hell out of here. You were in freaking diapers. You freaking child. You freaking kid.
Again, these umpires think they're the game.
They're here to see me. What a freaking pathetic loser.
And now Donnie's going to get himself thrown out. Home umpire Ryan Blake.
Sure.
You're not allowed
to get in his face.
But Donnie had seen enough after 3 balks in a row. Yeah, this one.
You agree. Not valid balk calls, wouldn't you say, Grumpy?
No, terrible.
I figured.
Now, of course, here it looks like there's kind of a pause, so it's tough to tell. But they didn't look like balks to me. It looks like he comes set and he goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I got to hear this. I figured you'd get a kick out of this one too, Grump. A little Bill Belichick action. We haven't seen much of good old Billy Belichick ever since Tom Brady has been gone. We haven't seen
no
much.
Shit. He got nothing to win. He ain't winning anymore.
Oh yeah, but I figure you will get a kick out of his response, right? Mac Jones, high ankle sprain.
We're day to day. Is
that what he said? We're day to day.
It's like on to Cincinnati, day to day.
Christ almighty, on to Cincinnati. I'll let you watch this one, Grumpy. I figure you might get a kick out of this post game or this pre or the week interview.
What does Brian Hoyer bring to the offense?
Yeah, Brian's got a lot of experience in the offense.
And how would you describe Bailey Zappi's progress since the time he was drafted to where we are now?
You're echoing.
He's gotten a lot better.
He's gotten a lot better, Grump.
Bring to the offense.
What'd you think about that? What'd you think of? Okay, can you try to not focus on the echo? How bad was the echo?
Bad. It's hard to tell when it's echoing like that.
How bad would you say it is, Grumpy?
Really bad. Like you're the way you've been on this podcast today. Really bad. Like that.
Oh, stick it where the sun don't shine, Grump. Oh man, stop. Okay, so anyway, Bill Belichick up to his typical bullshit responses. Hey, what do you think Brian Hoyer brings to the offense? Experience. He's got experience in the offense. What do you think about Billy Zappi's? What do you think about his growth since he's been drafted? He's gotten better. Just up to his typical.
He never answers the question. Here's the thing:
how quick do you think that type of shit isn't as cute as it used to be because he's not winning fucking games?
That's it. You can tolerate that when you're winning all the time when you got Tom Brady, but that shit's wearing thin.
It's wearing thin for me. I used to find it somewhat funny because it's like, okay, the guy wins games. He's a badass. He's doing that stuff. You're not winning games. Doesn't have the same effect. Good old Billy Boy.
True.
I just figured you probably would get the same exact response or the same exact thought from me on that. Want to show this play Justin Herbert made over the weekend. Dan Orlovsky breaks it down, and holy shit. You talk about, I know the Chargers lost. Oh, by the way, Slater, offensive tackle for the Chargers,
out for the year.
Tore his bicep, out for the year. But look at this play by Justin Herbert.
If he was on steroids,
When you tear biceps, you usually are.
Yeah.
Look at that freaking, look at it from the angle like that. The freaking tight. Look at that shit. Maneuvering in the pocket, throws, cross body. Look at this form and just, oh my God, lays it in there perfectly for the wide out. A perfect passing.
55-yard strike with damaged rib cartilage.
With damaged rib cartilage, and look at how he's throwing the football. It's not like he's stepping into that thing. He's just on the move, on the run, throwing on the run, cross body, and he puts the touch on it. He is so very talented QB.
You can't teach arm strength. That's why it's so important to have a quarterback who's got a cannon for an arm.
Hold on a second. We've got We've got here. Oh, we've got maybe two of these. We got some fan fights submitted to us, Grumpy. Oh God, this is one D-Cut sent. I'm just going to tell you, based off of the title, I'm going to assume it's a good fan fight. Not having watched it, hopefully this does not get age restricted. A fan is left bloodied after a fight with an usher.
Wow, with an usher.
So the usher is getting over here, mixing it up. These are what I'm talking about. This is what I like to see. Thank you, D-Cut, for sending this in. And again, here it is. We have a freaking goddamn fan who films in portrait mode and not landscape.
Who cares about what's going on in the upper deck?
I was about to say, I don't need to see what's going on here. Exactly. I want to see what's going on here, ladies and gents.
Yeah, that's what you're looking at.
He's just dancing around. He's not causing any issues. He's just dancing.
Looks like he thinks he's an umpire, maybe a security guard. He looks like he's drunk.
He is drunk. He's recording. He is drunk. So get out of here.
Okay, the usher should not be putting his hands on him, though.
I'm all for ushers. Like, it's empty. I don't know why they keep pushing him out of the way. And here's the thing. Who knows what this drunk fool was doing earlier on?
Uh-oh.
Now here it is, right? Now this is the issue.
Why is this guy involved?
He was walking away. Billy Badass over here. He's got his little short sleeves. Now this guy is walking away. He's been a nuisance, it looks like, probably all evening long. He is walking away. You're getting what you want. But this guy, let me see if I can get what he looks like. I'm going to back it up for a second. This freaking guy, it wasn't enough that he leaves, right? It's not enough. It's not enough that he leaves. Baldy over here needs to make sure he makes his point.
Looks like Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Maybe he probably wanted to give him a stunner right on the steps.
Maybe he does, Grumpy. He leaves.
Hey, did you ever see how The Rock would take those stunners, man? He just pop up and down, flip over. He was great.
He was a hell of an athlete. He was a hell of a performer.
Oh my God.
I mean, you talk about, dude.
He getting that stunner and he flips over almost. I mean, just incredible. I want to see Stone Cold stun this guy for no other reason than I just want to see it.
One more thing about The Rock. That time period for the WWE during the Attitude Era, well, I'd say that was peak WWE, wouldn't you? I wasn't young enough to be watching in the 70s and the 80s, but I feel like that the Attitude Era was like, that was the renaissance of the WWE.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the 80s was something else too. When Hulk Hogan was there.
Yeah.
That's what started the whole
Andre the Giant, Hulk, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, but everything was territories before then. Mm-hmm. That's when the national takeover started. He's leaving. Uh-oh. This guy's so drunk.
Yeah.
He's moving. Looks like he's struggling. Oh, who's this guy coming up behind? Look at this. Oh
shit. Oh, here comes the police officer.
Popo.
The police are here.
Ronald Acuna Jr. is saying, hey.
He did not look very thrilled, Ronald Acuna Jr.
No, he's like, you know what? I've had a bad year this year. The last thing I need is to get involved in a fight. Why is he complaining about that other guy?
They're like, let's go, sir. Get the hell out of here. Come on.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the game.
Ooh,
Oh,
said
he's
bloody.
he got an uppercut. He somehow is bleeding himself.
No, it's just a little tiny cut. It's a superficial wound. Oh man, I was hoping there was going to be I was hoping for a stone cold stunner, Grumpy. I see bloodied fan. I was like, you know what? That is the news in a heartbeat. A fan leaves bloodied, and it's literally just like, hey, he scratched a mole off his face when he was getting pushed, and he had like a little stream of blood. I was expecting somebody to get obliterated out there, Grump.
Yeah.
Oh man, I will say I haven't looked at this next one either, but it is a Philly fan. And
all right. The Phillies.
oh my god. Oh, holy shit. Okay, this is gonna be a good one. This is, hey man, it's in Philly, buddy. It's the Philly fans. They are just something else. God almighty. And I'm gonna say, based off of the way this guy rides the train, he might be a little intoxicated.
Look, this is Philly's trying to hold him back.
Yeah. Well, at least she's doing a good job. She's trying to prevent her boyfriend, who looks obliterated, from doing, or her significant other from doing something really dumb. Let's see if it works.
Oh, I like that guy did a little duck under there. Oh God! No, he got dropped.
Oh,
he
see,
leave the
hold on.
train?
This is a bitch move right here.
Yeah,
This
without a
guy, here's the thing. I do not like that this guy punched him and dipped off the train at the next stop. He literally was just like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and beat the living piss out of this guy. And he got slumped, immediately slumped. And as soon as that door opened, he was gone, never to be seen again.
I'll bet they can figure out who he is.
I was about to say, you could zoom in on who that is, but I don't. Oh my God.
I hope he gets popped. I really hope.
I wish I could have seen what happened earlier too, but it's like, this is like what happens where tensions continue to rise. But I'm like, he's just drunkenly standing around. He says, screw you, Philly fan. But guess what, buddy? One less Philly fan around, Grumpy. And that makes the whole world a better place. One less Philly fan around. Oh, good gracious. But I mean, you just talk about, oof. He went, oh my God. Those punches. He's throwing from his freaking hip over here.
And this guy, he's not prepared.
No, he's not. He's just like, oh my God. He's just standing the whole time. Oh, but again, do you think we need to see what the advertisements are at the top of the freaking subway?
Or do we need to see
sideways?
We need to see what the air conditioning vent looks like on the roof? No.
People do not understand. What is so difficult? Do not do this. Do this. What is so freaking difficult about that?
It's more stable too. 2 hands on it.
We need to, instead of all these dumb political commercials that are going to come up in November, I need to see people campaigning to say, we need fan fights recorded in landscape mode, not portrait mode.
That's right.
We need to see a massive amount of hordes of advertisements about that. So we could have seen the actual connection. He gets over there pretty quick, but I wanted to see the actual punch. But I mean, like, woof. He almost lost his hat with the ricochet his head did.
We need to. Okay, Tua would have been out 6 weeks with that punch.
He did lose the hat afterwards on his ground.
This guy probably went to work the next day. Just shows you how weak Tua is compared to this guy.
Oh, the Tua jokes come out already. Oh, this guy is up on the freaking seat. Philly fans, buddy, they'll cannibalize each other.
That's right.
It's just, you don't want it. Here's the thing: you'll never catch me in Philadelphia ever wearing an opposing team's jersey.
They were throwing ice balls at Santa Claus.
They're throwing batteries at fans.
Yeah, terrible, terrible.
My God, I tell you. Ugh, Jesus H. Hold on a second. I think D-Cut sent us one more. I don't know. Oops. I don't know what this is, but only in day. Oh, this must be a Florida thing. Hold on a second. This could be maybe the last video here before we look at comments. I don't know what this is. Hold on. I will prevent poor audio. Let me go ahead and make sure we're continuing here. Goon says, Grumpy, how do you think the TV show Davy and Goliath would hold up today?
I love that. That show was on 7 o'clock in the mornings on WRTV. Remember, we didn't have cartoons or anything like that all day long. And I love Davy and Goliath. How would it hold up today? I don't know. I still like it. I see it on every once in a while. It's a wholesome, like a do the right thing for your neighbor, that type of stuff. It was like kind of like a church type show for kids. Davy and Goliath. Davy.
Davey. Drew L says a D-Cut sent us a very good one, Grumpy. He's made up for that bloodied one. Drew L says here, if you think about it, when Bill Belichick doesn't have Brady, he's just Rex Ryan with social anxiety.
I think he's a better coach than Rex Ryan. But here's the thing, he ain't winning shit without Brady. That's all I know. He's got a losing record without Brady. Those are facts.
John P said, yep, Pete Alonso has 40 homers, 131 RBIs. Yep, Aaron Judge, 61 homers, 130 RBIs.
He's had a great year this year, Alonso.
Fantastic. The freaking polar bear, Grump. Good says, TJ, pull up some me clip or some Emmy. Was that me clips? I'll let you read this comment, Grumpy.
Pull up some clips of the 70s children's show, The New Zoo Review, coming right at you. It's the New Zoo Review, coming right at you. It used to scare the shit out of me, creepy costumes, and was shown so early in the morning that it was still dark outside. I remember the New Zoo Review.
Tell me a little bit about it, Grumpy, as I'm pulling up the pictures. Oh my God.
It's a kid show. I couldn't tell you what was on. Like I said, it must have been, I don't know, 50 plus years since I've seen it. So I don't know, but I remember the song. It was like a kid show. I remember Bob McAllister on Wonderama. I remember that Paul Tripp had a show. Matter of fact, on Peacock Network, it was The Year Without Santa Claus, something like it. Paul Tripp was on. I remember seeing that in a movie theater. And I'm like, man, you look at Paul Tripp now, he looks like a perv. It's a new review, coming right at you. We're three delightful animals. Ooh, woo, woo. They learn with their friend Doug and his helper, Emmy Joe. Hello, Emmy Joe.
Charlie. We are learning what we don't know.
Man, I tell you, those mascots or those people
They're
dressed
not mascots, they're freaking characters.
Those characters, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you. My God. Yikes, a nightmare fuel over there, Grumpy.
Delicate and feminine is Henrietta Hippo. Very wise and very smart is Charlie the Owl. Not so smart and not so smart is Freddy the Frog. It's quite an unusual thing. The animals talk and sing with Doug and Emmy Joe. Every day's a different show. It's the News Review coming right at you.
It's the New Zoo Review coming right. You know how mean kids are? My middle name was Henry, which I hated. Hated it. Hated the name Henry. Hated it. So my brother and sister will call me Henrietta Hippo.
Holy shit, they called you Henrietta Hippo?
So I bashed the living shit out of them.
How'd you bash them, Grump?
Beat the hell out of them. They stopped that shit. Double sweet. Except when the old man thought it was funny. Oh, yeah. He said, yeah, give him little codes. Give him little codes. That's what it means. This way you don't say it, but you give him a little code.
Just call him.
Now,
You're
you think a
looking
father
very...
would do something like that?
It's funny.
Cahoots with the other children to make fun of one of the others. I mean, it's kind of sad, isn't it?
Andrew L. said, Herbert off 1 foot. Tua couldn't do that off of 4 feet.
Very true. That's a good one. That's comment of the night right there.
Oh, man. Couldn't do that if he had 4 feet. Oh, God almighty. The Tua bashing.
Couldn't do that if he was a freaking centipede.
Oh, Drew L. said, yeah, Herbie definitely didn't play baseball growing up. Must have been or definitely did. Maybe let's say definitely did play baseball growing up. Must have been an outfielder. Yeah. I really dislike Kirk Herbstreit.
Kurt Herbstreit.
Oh, Kirk Herbstreit, college or NFL. Yeah, Kirk sometimes pisses me off. Sometimes he's all right. Sometimes, though, he freaking sends me over the edge. All those guys do that. Ryan Clark was a guy who used to piss me off a lot, and I've grown a little bit more fond of him as time continues.
Okay.
Fair enough. What's up, John M? What's up, my friend? Dude, now this Bills fight, Grumpy. Now, This is a good matchup. I was looking for this. I was looking to see the Florida boys, the crazy Florida fans fight Bills Mafia. Now, these were the fights I was looking to see plenty of. But what must have happened was because it was so unbelievably hot in Dade County that there weren't as many fights as we would expect. But I'll let you watch this one, Grumpy.
Okay. Again.
They're making a criminal offense of recording in portrait, not landscape.
Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Josh Allen, look at this. He's got the shirt.
Oh, look at this guy. He's trying to kick him with his shoes. Oh,
look at all these people just do another day in Dade County. Okay, watching
isn't that a cop car there? I see the flashing lights.
Oh my God.
All right.
But I cannot get over. They knock him to the ground. Look at this guy here with
everyone's losing their pants.
Look at how he tries to curb stomp. He does like a skip curb stomp. I've never seen anything worse than that before. You could tell these guys are not Miami's best.
No.
Oh, dude, that kick right here where he tried to kick Buffalo fan. Number one, Tua was not very happy after the game. Look at how he tries to kick this Buffalo fan. He just misses. If he connected, he would have concussed this damn Buffalo guy. Whoa! He made contact with his shin. Holy shit!
He hiked his pants up. Look at this guy. He's doing a kick like. Oh my God!
Hold on a second.
Everyone's pulling their pants up.
Not only Captain Shirtless, but Tua likes to do these like little skip steps. It must have been what they were working on in the parking lot before the game. Alrighty, guys, when we mix it up with these Buffalo Bills Mafia fans, we're gonna skip step in every single one of our attacks. Look at this. Boop. Bloop. Bloop. They're all like skip stepping. They're so happy.
And you got the woman who's holding her man down to get him beat up. Let him get up, honey. As quick as it started, it stopped. That looks like a cop car, though.
I thought so too. It's because those bottom lights are blinking, but maybe it's just, I don't know, the hazards or something. I cannot get over the like. Oh my God.
They're weak ass kicks.
I was about to say they're weak kicks. All these
everyone's losing their pants. Look at him. He hiked his pants up before, and they still fell down around his ass.
These people are not peak physical fitness. If you catch my drift, Grumpy. My God, the hike of the pants up before he tries to kick, and it's like he's getting ready to
them all together. Look at
Tua. Yeah, I was about to say Tua's pants go. He loses them too. Is right. Yeah, he does lose them.
They're down below his butt. Then they all bailed.
Look at him. He's like trying to like punt the ball. Look at this little kick step he's got. Look at the little skip he's got here. It's like he's ready to go ahead and punt the football. Bloop, boop. The football was that Buffalo Bills fan's head.
He didn't load up the kick, like the wrestlers.
He didn't try to charge it up or anything. I just love all these people walking around. That's what I'd be too.
You ever see the wrestlers do a punch like this? They go, boom. It's like they wind up. They got to wind up to throw. Like it creates more power.
Bam.
I'm going to say no one was really hurt in this fight, though.
That's good. That's how we like it. But let's go ahead. Bro, Tua's already dead. No, he's not dead. You guys are just dunking on his grave at this point. No,
he's not dead.
I'm playing that 70s show and my new bedroom song. It's my new bedroom song.
Yeah, man, they're having a they're having a 90s show, which is having a lot of the same characters from that 70s show.
John P says here, Wonderama, Romper Room, Zoom. The new Zoom review.
Zoom.
Henrietta Hippo. Zoom. It's our youth. And Drew L says everybody losing their pants is just another average day in Florida. Man, it's hot, so they need a little bit more breathability in their briefs. Shay says Francisco Alvarez is getting called up. That's what I like to see. John P says 27-15 Bengals. A minute and 52 seconds left.
No way they were losing to Miami.
Oh man, Drew said I also sent you a comment. Let's see here. But this is gonna be hard to read. Let's see. So Grumpy, do you know one more thing before we end things up? Do you know who Ninja is?
Ninja. Oh, what is it, like a person? I know what a ninja is. Or some silly guy who calls himself. Oh no, I don't know who that is.
Ninja plays Fortnite. He plays video games. He's a professional video game player.
Who cares?
I'll never understand how college and NFL teams allow kickers that just miss kicks. I feel like there has to be pools of kickers in the United States that won't miss simple kicks or snappers that won't mess up snaps. I don't know, man. It seems so silly. would love.
You know what sounds
opinions
really
on
silly
this,
is the
what he
fact that this guy. What happens if he slips off the A button and hits the B button? I can't believe that. I'm sure there's millions upon millions of gamers who could do that shit. Please stop. Ridiculous.
Tucky the gamer said, "I'll never understand how pro Fortnite players just miss shots. I feel like there has to be tons of pools of pro players that could just click on the head and hit every time with 100% accuracy. Seems so silly." And he says, "It's the shittiest reply ever. Fortnite requires movement, editing, building, rotating, hitting shots. They're not just positions in Fortnite. A kicker's job is literally to kick." Horrible analogy.
You know what?
Embarrassing.
I don't know. I'll bet you that guy, that ninja fella, probably weighs about 98 pounds.
He weighs 98 pounds. He's extremely skinny.
98 pounds. Lives in his mom's basement.
No, he makes a lot of money. He doesn't live in his mom's basement.
I don't give a shit what he does. He's a loser.
Yeah, there it is. Grump man. Oh, hold on. D-Cut says, Ninja's everything that's wrong with this generation, Grump.
Absolutely.
Grumpy man, we're here at the end of the show. What do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Thoughts, obviously, and prayers. Hopefully, Tua is okay. All seriousness there. But thank you, Grumpy Old Man, for your time. As always, thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, and participating in the show. You guys are the life and bloodline of the show. Thank you so much for all being here, for talking a little sports that we love to speak about, showing and submitting the great fan fights. I love it. I love it, ladies and gents. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again, Grumpy.
My pleasure.